Great food and great music.
Tonight, Benjamin Reed introduces us to a new kind of music and culture from south of the border.
The atmosphere at the Copacabana is rather quiet, but within 1 hour, you won't even be able to hear yourself think. This is the Copacabana Dance Hall in Blackfoot, and on a typical weekend, this is what it sounds like. Its owner, Ismael Bencomo, along with a group of promoters, is responsible for bringing in the bands. He says every 7 to 8 days we have a dance here, and at least twice a month we bring in the big-name groups. Tonight, one of Mexico's biggest is here. Their name, Banda Machos. They're so popular that some have even called them the Soundgarden or Nirvana of Mexico, even though their music is dramatically different. Bringing in a group like the Machos is no small task. Promoter Eric Serrato says it's a costly venture. He says it's a big group and it cost me up to $20,000 to $25,000. He recuperates the money of the ticket bonds. Tickets tonight are going for around $40 apiece. The band has been around for the past 6 years and is directly responsible for setting up a new musical craze called what else? Banda. It's a music based on the marching bands from Mexico's southwestern state of Sinaloa. The Machos were the first to add a little extra rhythm, electronic bass, keyboards, and voila, hundreds of others began to imitate the style, setting it into motion. Tonight, we were granted an exclusive opportunity to step aboard the Machos bus. That's something they'd never allowed before. It is here that they make their home half of the year. And what we learned is it's not all fun and games for the musicians. Traveling all over North America tires them out. But says Arturo Avila, once they take the stage, it's all worth it. He says, we like it that the people enjoy us and that they've accepted us. We're also honored to be the only group from Mexico to be invited to a Latin festival in France this August, and that all makes up for it. Tonight, hundreds pack the Copacabana, sharing the music and happiness that the Machos bring. And for the fans like Lorenzo Velasco, it was worth coming for, too.
Because I like their music and I think they're great.
Benjamin Reed, Idaho 8 News, Blackfoot.
Looks like a lot of fun. Tomorrow, Jason Wanless is going to pick up this look at the Mexican bands and tell us what kind of impact they're having on our community.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Well, can the Jazz pull out a Game 5 victory over the Blazers?
Almost every weekend. But with those bans can come a fair share of problems, fighting among patrons. Tonight, Idaho 8's Jason Wanless takes a look at what the club's owner is doing to control potential violence. It's a typical Friday night at the Copacabana in Blackfoot. Lots of people, top-name bands, and handheld metal detectors.
It's a typical Friday night at the Copacabana in Blackfoot. Top-name Mexican dancing bands, lots of people, and metal detectors.
Everybody's here to have a good time, but you get a little bit of alcohol and a disagreement breaks out, and just to keep that under control, we don't want any weapons involved.
Everyone's checked before they're allowed into the club.
Now, the problem really doesn't exist on the dance floor. It's afterwards when everyone comes outside.
Fighting seems to break out. In fact, about a year ago, a man was shot outside the club.
A shooting in the parking lot. That was after the dance was over, and it was by someone from out of state.
Crisanta Sotelo and her husband run a taco vending business. On Friday nights, they sell tacos just outside the Copacabana. Crisanta has seen her fair share of fights in the past. She says, we've seen kids armed with bats and beer bottles, even though I haven't actually seen people armed with guns. But security guards say they have found some guns, and last year's shooting has prompted Copacabana owner Ismael Bencomo to take extra precautions. He says we now pay the police extra to watch outside to back us up. And now if you pass by the Copacabana on a Friday night, you'll see the streets covered with Blackfoot police, watching out for the first sign of trouble. Crisanta says the extra police coverage seems to help. The last 2 times we've come, there's been more order in the parking lot next to the Copacabana. Crisanta says she's happy now because she feels it's not fair to prepare food for 300 people only to be shut down by police because there's a fight. This Friday night came and went without any fights at all. So at least for now, the agreement between the club and police seems to be working. In Blackfoot, Jason Wanless, Idaho 8 News.
Security guards say most of the scuffles aren't too serious. They say the most serious incident was last year's shooting.
In money news.